Ooh, sweet, sweet nectar sounds. Yeah, dude, Indy 500 this weekend. It was all time, and I'm glad that I was there, and I'm glad that you, P Money, were there with me in spirit. What's going on, man?
We had two really good races this weekend, and obviously we focused on F1, but damn, Indy was fun this year. First time I saw an Indy race from start to finish.
That's crazy that you haven't. I mean, sometimes they can be a snooze fest and a procession. I get it, especially on ovals, but damn, this year blown away. But
Yeah.
it was a huge weekend for motorsport. Obviously, we had Monaco, Indy 500, in NASCAR. There was the Coca-Cola 600, which I don't care about personally. But
What is that?
what is that, dog? Funny enough, though, it's Penske. Roger Penske's team won both the 500 and the Coca-Cola 600. So big weekend for, as they call him, Roger Penske, the captain.
All they need is an F1 team.
I don't know, man. I mean, he's been making some moves. He bought Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and
that's a move.
Yeah. The track is great now. I mean, and not to say that it wasn't before, but you can tell the difference between, the previous owners and Penske money. So we got a lot to talk about. So let's roll that intro and get straight into it.
A question for all of you except Romain Grosjean.
To whom it may concern, fuck you.
More ladies in the paddock? Yeah, more paddock access to some women. There's too many dudes.
I don't really have a lot to comment on that, except that he was being a pussy.
Max was not a huge pussy this weekend.
Where did that go from?
He wasn't. I'm just saying.
Wait, was he last weekend?
No, I'm just saying Max has been,
So basically, Max did not piss you off this weekend.
No, he didn't. He did not. No, Max did not piss me off.
That's rare. Translation for anyone out there wondering what that was.
Yeah, thank you. Puxan knows how to translate my disdain for Max.
Before we get all the Max haters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's Enigma code. But yeah, dude, the huge weekend for motorsport. Quick Indy recap, because I want to get into Monaco though. The first 100 laps were a bit of a snoozer. I mean, I gotta say everybody that I was sitting with was like, we need a yellow. Like everybody.
I thought you were gonna say we need some beers.
Oh no, we actually ran out of beers at one point. We left a bunch at our tailgate, and we underbeered our coolers.
Ooh,
but
underfueled Knowles.
Yeah. We underfueled, but yeah, the first 100 laps, a bit of a snoozer, and then we got a yellow, I think, right at about lap 100. And
yes, correct.
And then from there, it was an absolute just guys were going into the grass. It seemed like there were there was no respect for lines, for track limits, which in Indy it's a bit different than other races on the IndyCar calendar, because you're allowed to use as much of the circuit as you want, and that also includes the grass. If you don't, because you're going at such high speeds that, listen, if you don't fuck up, good for you. I think.
Yeah, aka Tony Kanaan.
Oh my god!
Went four wheels off on the grass, actually, not even just offline, and made that pass stick, which I still don't understand how he did. And that was probably my favorite moment of the race, personally.
Unbelievable. Tony Kanaan's last race, I actually got him in our Indy 500 pool. We picked drivers, and got Tony Kanaan. Unfortunately, did not win any money with TK as he's known. But last race for him, and then what a fucking finish!
Oof.
Wow, like absolutely crazy.
A lot of red flags there.
3 red flags in the final 15 laps. A lot of people were wondering, and especially Marcus Ericsson, wondering, was that right? And IndyCar came out and made a statement that ultimately they don't want to finish under yellow. They want to make sure that that races finish under green. And I personally think they made the right call. But if you were in Marcus Ericsson's position, you know that you're fucked. Especially when you red flag the race at lap 198 of 200. Yeah.
Yeah, because so what happened was that they red flagged it, right? And they chose, like, I didn't know what they did, like at the moment of the flag, that's when they give like the ranking, and he was slightly ahead. But imagine if you were behind Newgarden, he would have been starting P2 for that final restart, which was probably the best place to be. So I understand that he feels kind of hard done by, because he could have won 2 Indy 500s in a row. But also at the end of the day, it's kind of, it is what it is. People want to, you want to end on green flag, you got to do everything you can. I wish there was one more lap, though. They could have probably red flagged the race a lap earlier, I thought. That's the only thing I would say about that.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is there was controversy because they made immediate decision for the first 2 red flags to come out with a red flag, and then it took them 2 laps to decide that they were going to red flag it at the end, which then basically meant we had a Abu Dhabi style shootout. And
it gave me 2021 vibes for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a sense of 2021 in Abu Dhabi, but Michael Masi was not there. I can assure you of that. But dude, I mean, when that was incredible to see that on track was wild. It was incredible.
How was the crowd? How was the crowd's reaction? Because it was a lot
crazy.
He passed on the last lap, right?
Past T3.
Oh wow! Yeah, it was. Oh my god!
Yeah, so
it's
turn 3,
it's harder to do deeper than that in a race, to be honest.
Yeah, and also turn 3 is, you might think that all the turns are the same, but turn 3 is typically one of the harder turns because there's wind that's coming across the track, and at those speeds, you're doing 230 off the backstretch, and we saw it with Pato O'Ward when he tried to dive in on Marcus Ericsson, which led to another red flag, and he lost the back end and put it into the wall. And Pato came out and said, he was like, I think I was too nice to him, which I don't know. I mean, Pato's getting a reputation for...
He was reckless, bro.
Well, he also said, he's like, next time I won't be so nice and he'll come with me. Like, really?
I'm not gonna comment on that because I like the kid, but that's... You know what? That's a pretty stupid thing to say in the press.
It's not a smart thing to say.
But his move, though, was totally off, right? Like, why would he do that? He went so quick, first of all, at that speed, and he clipped the grass. I felt like he made that mistake before.
That fact that Ericsson didn't get taken out by it is shocking.
Yeah, that was wild. And then Ericsson actually had a shot of winning it, which, oof. But yeah, dramatic end. And honestly, there are. I had a question for you because you're the resident Indy guy here. Is like the first half of the race usually this kind of processional? Is that a thing, or was this year particularly calmer?
In Indy, you get 8 practice sessions, and there was only one incident, which was the Stefan Wilson and Catherine Legg incident, which ultimately had Stefan Wilson ultimately was not able to race. Graham Rahal took his car, but the whole month it was impressively clean, and I think that the first 100 laps were indicative of that. And then guys started to go for it.
Yeah,
and then they're like, the sweet smell of that huge, almost $20 million purse seems pretty nice. So,
ow, nice. Yeah, I felt like it was calm because you got to just make your way to the end. You got to be there, to be in the running in the end. So,
right.
Yeah, you could definitely sense it was ramping up. Zach Brown was there.
Zach Brown was there.
A lot of McLarens in the mix, but a lot of them got a lot of them crashed right towards the end.
Only 2 of 4 finished the race.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, but oh man, I'm happy for Newgarden.
Yeah, man. Obviously, another reason why Ericsson was upset was because he missed out on another. I think he gets like 1 point. He gets like just over $1 million for second place, which is still an incredible amount of money to win.
Wow.
But Newgarden got, I think he got, or 3.6 million for the win.
Ooh.
And that includes like laps led, passes, biggest mover, stuff like that. But his celebration at the end was sick.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was wondering, were you close to him? Did you see that? Or
no, that's like on the front stretch before turn 1, but we're in between turn 1 and turn 2. And, but
a man of the people.
You could see it on the screen and damn, dude, like, 1, how did he know that gap in the fence was there? 2, what an epic celebration to just jump into the crowd and celebrate with fans. It was pretty rad.
I haven't seen many, not as many as you have, but I feel like that's definitely my favorite that I've witnessed so far.
It's my favorite at this point, 100%. But I think, what incredible to be there. That was my 23rd Indy 500.
Well done.
I was asked the question this weekend, would I miss the 500 from Monaco? Like, would I go to Monaco? And like, I do really want to go to Monaco at some point, but I don't know. 500, it's got a spell over me, but
yeah, some tough calls, but
yeah. But the unfortunate thing about going to Indy is that you can't, it's hard to watch the race because we have to get to the track so early. It's hard to watch Monaco live, but there was a lot of murmurings from a lot of people who were watching Monaco from their cars or were listening to it on, F1 TV, that it was another reason why we have the Monaco Grand Prix, which I think we got into last episode. People are maybe saying that we should get rid of it, but this weekend showed us why we have Monaco on the calendar.
Yeah, whoever thinks that Monaco should be off the calendar, then you should not be watching Formula One. In 2023 proved that this track is a classic for a reason. And I don't know if you caught qualifying, but that was one of the best qualifying sessions I have seen in a long time. Very, very exciting with Alonso and Verstappen going at it, obviously. And you saw the Aston Martin garage celebrating. They thought they had pole, and Max Verstappen was down almost 0.3 or 0.25 in the last after sector 2, and he made up 0.3 to get pole. Ocon was in the mix for a minute. It was wild. Obviously, the race is less exciting than qualifying, but the rain that came after half distance definitely switched it up, and the race definitely came alive as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, just even seeing. Obviously, rain is the great equalizer in Formula One, and I was just shocked to see what the teams had no idea what to do, right? Like, really had no clue what to do with the rain. And I mean, Red Bull, I think, managed it as a masterclass in what to do.
Red Bull was perfect this weekend, and I'll tell you what, it wasn't a great weekend for Mexican drivers.
You mean the only Mexican driver on the grid?
There was obviously what happened in Indy, and
right.
So we had Pato O'Ward in Indy, but also Checo. He crashed out on Saturday and completely destroyed any chance. This is just my opinion, but for me, that just shows how big the gap is between him and Max Verstappen, who's a 2-time, soon to be 3-time world champion. If anyone thinks he's in it, forget it. It's over. It's over. You cannot have a weekend like this as a world championship contender. I'm sorry.
Nope. I have to agree with you on that. It's just Checo. I mean, there was a quote that came out with Christian Horner when Checo binned it. When they're taking Checo's car off the track, they like exposed the entire undercarriage of the car. And
yes,
Christian Horner, I got to give it to Christian on this one. He said basically It's rude to look up other people's skirts.
Quote of the weekend for sure.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, this is what happens in Monaco. They have the best marshals in the world, and the only way to clear cars is to kind of get them off this on this big crane. And we saw Lewis crash in P3, and obviously Checo in qualifying. And yeah, you get to see the whole floor, which in this new regulations is really important. I can guarantee you that all the teams have their spy photographers out there getting those photos, and now are trying to understand first of all how that floor works, and then try to see if they can copy it.
I mean, it looks crazy from what I saw.
Yeah, it looked way different. Like the Mercedes floor compared to the Red Bull floor looks like it's 10 years older.
Oh yeah.
And Merck came in with a big update this weekend as well. So, ooh,
Yeah, I
still
mean
ways to
the
go.
floor on the Red Bull looks like a hypercar.
Yeah, I mean it's really it's unusual to talk about something we never see, and it's unusual to it's rare to see it. But man, yeah, some sexy floor they got going on
Yeah,
Red
man.
Bull.
It's a nice ass floor you got. Never talked about a person's floor like that before.
Oh man, but obviously Checo had a dismal weekend. But let's not take away from Max, who put on an
Yeah.
absolute masterclass, like again, like back-to-back masterclass. He's kind of easing into this domination cycle here, and he led from lap to lap for the 8th time in his career, by the way. And this is the race that he beat the record for number of wins for Red Bull. He was tied with Vettel, Seb, at 38, and now he's all alone with 39, and he's going to add more, obviously.
It's pretty impressive. You got to say, it's hard to say otherwise, honestly, at this point.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not a Max fan.
I mean, he didn't put a wheel wrong, and they managed the rain impeccably, I thought. And he did hit the wall a few times, but he just he could have lost it easily. It's when you're P1, you don't want to risk it. And Alonso and Aston Martin went for, when it started raining, when it started pouring, they went for dry tires, thinking that it was going to dry up really quickly. But the rain had intensified. My question is, did they make the wrong call? Because in the end, Alonso was roughly 20 seconds away from Max after everyone got on the inters. But that was exactly the gap, the time you need to do one pit stop at Monaco. So could we have had like a battle, like a on track battle for the lead if Alonso had gone straight for inters? Easier to say after the fact, but just a thought.
The weather felt incredibly unpredictable. And the other thing too is that there was one point where it was like pouring at the beginning, at the beginning of the tunnel. And then when you get down to what is it, the chicane there, and it's
the Nouvelle Chicane.
Nouvelle Chicane, yeah. When you get down to the Nouvelle Chicane, it was like drizzling, so like the depth of water was different at different, all over the track first, which is shocking considering how small Monaco is, right, relative to other circuits.
Yeah.
So I genuinely think teams were like, and the drivers were like, well, we're just going to risk it. But everybody was sliding everywhere. I mean,
yeah. But you know what? I'm surprised no one put it in the wall, really. I mean, some people obviously touched the wall. Lance, Checo, a few others, but mostly those. Yeah. Sargent a few times, parked it at Mirabeau and had to do a little reverse. But no one had like a big shunt. Checo almost had one. He caught it beautifully. But yeah, I'm surprised there was no safety car also in this race, which, damn, in Monaco, come on. What I will say for Alonso, going back to him, is that best result of the season, P2. He hadn't had a P2 yet, a lot of P3s. So
yeah, you're right.
He hasn't had a P2 in like 10 years. So good job, Fernando. I think what I really enjoyed this weekend is he still got it on one lap pace, which is, very impressive. And also he's got the team's back. And I don't really remember the last time Alonso was this much of a team player.
You mean never?
Yeah. Yeah, you know how to translate that.
Yeah, never. Like
maybe his Renault days, as a young driver. But
maybe, yeah. But even then it was like then he made the move to McLaren. And no, Fernando seems like he is gung-ho on Aston Martin. giving tips to Lance. Not that they're helping.
They didn't help this
Yeah,
weekend because
yeah,
Lance was fucking nowhere.
Yeah. Where were you?
Man.
Fucking nowhere. Yeah, Lance had a real messy weekend. Clearly, Aston Martin is on the up right now. What I was curious to see is where would some of the other teams stack up behind them. And one of the teams that we've been talking about needing a result was Alpine in this midfield battle.
Yep.
And Esteban Ocon, man. Wow.
Yeah. Tip of the hat to Esteban. That was an exceptional lap in qualifying. I even thought for a second that lap would be hard to beat, even for Alonso and Verstappen. And ended up qualifying fourth, got P3 with Leclerc's penalty, and maintained P3 in the race. So, yeah, absolutely phenomenal. And you know what? Gasly finished seventh, so double points, but Gasly wanted to stay out and then go straight to Inters. But he pit for slicks and then went again for Inters. He thinks that if he had gone straight to Inters, he would have finished P4 or P5, which would have been a huge result for Alpine as a team. It already is, but
well, I think the biggest thing for me is that it has. I mean, let me ask you this: do you think that was his best race of his Formula One career? Other than his win, I mean, maybe his win is up there, right?
yeah, you know what? He showed that he doesn't crack under pressure. I remember obviously his win in Hungary where Vettel was hounding him for the whole race, didn't crack. Last year against Hamilton in Suzuka in the rain, he didn't crack either. This year, Sainz was racking up the pressure on him, and then Hamilton later didn't crack. Yeah, he's just showing how strong of a driver. I don't know if it's his best race, but yeah, I'd put it up there. He's definitely, I think, the most impressive driver, except for Max and Alonso. I'll put them in their own category this weekend. But he was at their level. I'll say that this weekend.
Just thinking about his career, losing his seat, being a reserve driver, then coming back, getting a full-time seat again, and in Monaco in the rain to be in a position where you're being pressured by some of the best to ever do it and still manage to get on the podium. Hats off to Esteban.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you what, though, I was a bit disappointed with Lewis Hamilton this weekend. If you just look at the results, P4 and P5 for Merck, not bad. And they were closer in qualifying than they were last year. But Lewis, at no point when he was behind Ocon did he actually get close enough to even threaten him. I felt like he was just coasting behind him, and I was wondering if he just didn't want to take the risk. And I thought there might have been a move there.
Lewis, there was one point in during the race where he said, "Man, this car is really hard to drive." Right. And it's clear that is becoming a theme with this Mercedes with him. I don't know what to think of it because we don't really hear George saying the same things.
No. And George actually got ahead of Lewis at the pit stops. Lewis stopped for slicks before the rain came, and George was able to jump him. But then George made a huge mistake, went off into the runoff, and when he came back, that's when he hit Perez, which, I don't know, it was probably like the 10th time Perez made contact with another car this race. But for once, it wasn't Perez's fault. George just kind of drove back on track and ran over Checo's front wing and got a 5-second penalty for that. But yeah, Russell was also asking the team to let him go because he didn't understand why is Lewis so slow. And I just think Lewis was just coasting. He just all right, I'll just take P4 and hope something happens in front. He just was not aggressive at all. And I think he just wants to get to a real track. He's like, all right, let's get to a real track and see what these updates are really worth.
You're saying Monaco's not a real track?
I mean, I love Monaco, but it's not a track where you can understand your car's performance if you have an upgraded aero package. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Spain this weekend, Barcelona, and I don't know, man. I think with Lewis, you've got to wonder, why wouldn't you go after it, right? Like, you are incredible in the rain. There's a chance to push it, but maybe he just didn't want to. I don't know what the issue, what ultimately the issue is. maybe he was just worried about binning the car and having to, whatever it might be. To not see Lewis be aggressive at Monaco felt a little bit strange.
Yeah, and perhaps it is just that. Also, he did bin it in FP3, and maybe he was a bit on, and it was raining, and he probably thought, you know what, let's make sure we bring this car in one piece so we can, because we have back-to-backs, right? And let's see. I'm not going to judge Lewis obviously on one race; that would be unfair. But as a fan, I was like, come on, man, go for it. Especially when George is behind him, going 2 seconds a lap quicker, and then all of a sudden, Lewis matches George's pace. You just know that he was not going full beans, right? And that's what kind of got to me. But
full beans, we've officially taken the English phrase. That one always gets me. Yeah, what does full beans actually mean? Like a full can of beans, and you like throw it,
just
like
put it all in the burrito. Is that what?
Or like you just dump an entire can on a full English. I don't know.
Oh,
maybe
actually, you know what? We'll look it up.
Let's look into this. Why the hell do you guys say full beans? But listen, I mean, the gap was closed to Aston Martin, right? And I think Barcelona will be I think we'll see what Merckx really got under the hood in Barcelona.
Agreed. I'll tell you what, though, as you said, Merck. I mean, this is a great weekend for Merck. They brought it. They're P3, just 1 point behind Aston Martin, but Lance has got to start picking up the pace here because Alonso can't carry Aston Martin to P2. That's not going to work.
Oh no, absolutely not. Stroll's got to start showing up as well. But
yeah, you know who needs to show up as well? God damn it!
I know where you're going, dude. Are you on suicide watch?
I think. I mean, I'm definitely. There definitely were a few tears this weekend, and not because I was happy, but Ferrari, my God. And I think you can't really blame the drivers this weekend. It feels like the drivers did whatever they could, but Leclerc getting a penalty because he wasn't told that Lando was coming up behind him in qualifying. That is, that's amateur.com right there.
So I've got like a word association for you. When you hear Ferrari in Monaco, what is it synonymous with?
I mean, in the last few years, crash. But you could say crash in terms of drivers crashing or like the team strategy crashing.
I was going to say strategy fuck ups.
Yeah, that's also pretty good because we had a few of those as well this weekend. I mean, if Leclerc started P3, he had a shot to win, honestly.
Yeah,
and also Sainz, they should have left him out. He was closing in on Ocon for a podium, and you heard his radio when he was pissed because he was pitted too early because they were trying to cover Hamilton, who was not at all within Sainz's reach. So yeah, I hate saying this, but like this is the segment of the podcast where I say, yeah, another race to forget. Let's hope for better next weekend.
Well, you want to? So this is I don't know if it's funny, but Charles Leclerc is auctioning off his race kit, his helmet, his gloves, his race suit, his boots from this weekend's Monaco Grand Prix, and it's meant to raise money for the flood recovery in
that's good,
Emilia Romagna. And I'm like, how much money is that really going to get?
For a P6?
Yeah, not like you won in Monaco. It's like...
Yeah, it's also like a special edition because of Monaco. So they inverted the colors for the Monaco flag. So you had a white racing suit.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked a little silly.
I thought it looked fresh, actually.
Yeah, actually, it looks good, but you know me, I'm a purist. If it's Ferrari at Monaco, it
should be red always.
If he was going to win, I want that red suit to be up there.
Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't win, and it's getting auctioned off and never be seen again.
All right. Well, thank you.
But yeah, dude, the Ferrari just another disappointment. The midfield, we had some, as you put it, some tops and flops.
Yeah, I think quietly Bottas did pretty well, but didn't get any points for it. But McLaren had ridiculous pace in the end. Double points finish for Norris and Piastri, who, by the way, Piastri for his first Monaco weekend in F1 car, I think he did a fantastic job. and he was behind Lando pretty much the whole race, and they were lapping like 3 seconds and even up to 5 seconds faster than Max in intermediate conditions in the end. And that maybe because they have nothing to lose and they were going for it, and Max was kind of just bringing it home, but they have serious pace in the rain, those cars.
Yeah, but do they have it anywhere else?
No, but interestingly enough, I saw Zach Brown, made the choice just like you did to go to Indy this year.
Yeah.
And officially, McLaren will be coming out with a B spec car later this year. So they had an update in Baku, which we might have described as a B spec, but a B spec means a new chassis. So big changes coming up, which means they're laying down the foundation for 2024. So McLaren fans, don't lose hope. Be like me and Ferrari. Always believe something will turn up one day.
I was kind of shocked to see Zach Brown in Indy as opposed to Monaco, but maybe I don't know. Maybe Zach Brown needs to take to spend some more time at IndyCar races.
Yeah.
Maybe he manages from afar. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, they definitely had a better shot of winning the Indy 500 than the Monaco Grand Prix this year.
Oh yeah,
so
big time.
I'd say well
four
done,
cars in that race, but yeah, man. The other De Vries. What do we think about Nick De Vries? He needed to put in a result. I still think he's on the chopping block personally.
Yeah, he is, but I think that if you look at his weekend, he comes out on a positive upward trend. He finished ahead of Tsunoda, who was kind of all over the place in the wet, and he finished in front of him for the first time. So I would say points would have been awesome, of course, but definitely is making Helmut Marko forget about him for a few days.
Yeah, maybe that's all I need to do.
Yeah, you don't want to be on Helmut Marko's in his thoughts for too long.
Yeah, just forget about me. I don't exist.
Helmut. Yeah, because that means he's thinking of who's going to replace you.
He needs one of those like those memory erasers from Men in Black. Just for a weekend. Like, Helmut, I don't exist. No, but I mean, Yuki was once again. Yuki kind of went back to his old radio ways this weekend. I don't know. You caught his
not
radio.
Impressed. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I was not impressed. I'll put it that way.
Really, like, when is that dude just gonna? He just shouts on the radio. I'd be so annoyed if I was his team. Like, shut up, dude.
Yeah, Yuki definitely was on the flops. I would say, obviously, Perez, the Haas team was definitely like in a lot of the highlight reel, but mostly because a lot of contact between those cars.
K-Mag had a really great pass at one point.
He did, yeah.
But I would say that was about the only highlight of his race.
I think that Haas as a team just doesn't do well in Monaco, and that confirmed it. They're pretty much the slowest team.
Yeah, they weren't great. But yeah, our Logan Sargent, though, man. Woo.
Yeah. Okay.
That dude had
yeah,
probably the worst weekend of anyone.
All right. So I've been following Logan since his F3 career, and he went all the way to the last round and almost won the championship against Piastri. So I know he's not slow, and he had a pretty decent start of the year. And I feel like I've been defending him, but it's getting harder and harder for me to justify that. Him and De Vries are definitely going to have a few stressful weeks leading up to the summer.
I would say so. Like, not only do they have pressure in the race, they've got pressure outside of the track, like big time. I think Logan, maybe not so. I'd say Logan, not as much as De Vries. The Red Bull system is so ruthless. I think Sargent gets a little bit more leeway here.
Yeah, but James Vowles, team director at Williams, has already come out in the press saying that he needs to up his game, which that's usually strike one.
Yeah, you don't want your team boss saying that.
Yeah, so man, after this weekend though, there's a bit of a gap in the standings for the championship. Seems like Max is on autopilot, and Red Bull could win every single race this year.
That's getting ridiculous.
Yeah. So right now, Max's lead is 39 points to Checo. And actually, Alonso is closer to Checo than Checo is to Max. That's 144 for Max, 105 for Checo. And constructors, Red Bull has more than twice the number of points as a P2 Aston Martin, which is wild.
As we're talking, Checo actually came out and said that he still believes he can make up the 38-point gap between him and Max.
Yeah, all he needs is 2 DNFs and winning those 2 races.
Yeah, and I don't see
That's it.
Max. Yeah, don't see that happening with Max. Dude's on an absolute fucking tear right now.
I think there's a higher percentage of Alonso picking up the scraps if Max DNFs than Checo.
Fernando loves scraps, dude.
He's
a scrappy dude. He loves scraps.
He's a scrappy fucker.
And loves leftovers in the fridge.
Oh, well, you know, I was gonna make a Kvyat joke there with leftovers. Max taking Kvyat's leftovers. If you're not aware, Max stole Kvyat's seat and his girlfriend a few years ago. Oops. But getting back on track to Fernando, we're going back to Spain this weekend to Barcelona, and it's been 10 years since he last won.
Doing that.
I love it. I had to love Barcelona. Brilliant city. And also they've taken out the chicane, so it's going to be a much faster track this year.
Yeah.
So let's see, man.
We've got our stand championship, and right now it is me, F Knowles, in P1 with 76 points, and P Money in second place with 48 points. And this week, my friend, you get to go first.
Oof, yeah, it was a tough weekend for me in Monaco. 0 points for me. All right, so we're going back to Spain. Spain is one of those.
Oh, wait, just by the way. So a few people that I was at the 500 with listened to the podcast. And when Grosjean crashed at the 500, everyone
Oh, my God, yes. I can't believe we didn't bring that up.
Everyone goes, Ryan, what is that? I'm like, that's a Gromo.
Dude, it was so funny because the commentators were kind of making fun of him too. They're like, "Oh, well, there he goes into the wall again," like as if they were expecting it. You know, that's the second time he crashes out of the Indy like that.
Yeah.
Ouch. Wow.
Yep.
Well, you know, he was all good in the end, but yeah, we can laugh about it.
He had a rough race. But but it's your turn to go first this week for Barcelona, my friend.
All right, so going back to a traditional track, and it's hard for me not to put Max on pole. Max is going to win. He's going to not only win, he's going to dominate. Like, he's going to win by more than 30 seconds, I feel. P2 will go to Checo because I think he needs to put in a solid result. Alonso P3 at home. I think Hamilton P4 and Leclerc P5. The Gromo, I'm going to have to get on this Logan Sargent train here.
The Sargent train.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Max pole, Max P1. I agree. I think he's just on a tear right now. I think Lewis is actually going to get a podium. I'm going to put Lewis P2. I'm going to put Fernando P3. I'm going to go Checo P4. Nope, it's not Perez. I call it, Checo P4, and then I'm going to go George P5. And then Gromo is Yuki. What are you laughing at?
No, I love how we said that Perez needs a weekend and he's in P4.
Oops. Sorry.
But you know what? It could happen. So that's why I'm laughing, because you might be right.
You know, a funny thing, I saw a video this weekend of Checo after he won Monaco last year, like the day after, and he had to be carried down the steps of a yacht.
Because how drunk he was.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean,
might be the only time he wins it, man. You got to celebrate that.
Got to celebrate. I hope Ocon celebrated too. But yeah, man, excited to be back in Barcelona. You've been to that track many times.
Many times.
It's
for races and for testing. It's a great place, and obviously it's a great city to party at.
Yeah, Barcelona, aka Vegas. I just made that up. Bars Vegas. Bartha Vegas. Yeah, fifth lisping.
I like it. I like it.
Anyway, we will be back next week with a recap of this week's Spanish Grand Prix. Follow us on Instagram at the Grandstand, and give us a follow wherever you listen to podcasts. And we'll see you next week on the Grandstand.
Vamos.